Hello, everyone. I'm Tennille Irby, mother of 4, 3 boys, 1 girl.
And I'm Thea Monyee, mother of 3 girls.
And I'm Nekisha Killings, also mother of 3 girls.
And welcome to another episode of
Dim Black Mamas.
Dim Black Mamas.
I did. Oh, that was Nekisha that time.
No. Why?
That was Nekisha that time.
Nuh-uh.
Nekisha, that was you.
I think that, you know what I think we need to do? I think we just need, like, one person needs to say it, and we need to have, like, some cute little thing afterwards. Like,
I don't understand why we can't say 3 words in unison. Like, what is
so we gonna give it up?
Why is somebody singing it?
What if our ancestors had did that? What if they said, we can't sing, lift every voice and sing without knowing the other 2 words, without knowing the other 3 verses? Would they have just given up the first verse?
Gosh.
I don't think so.
I'm just saying there's an easier way.
You're
to
just
say
saying
the name of the show
that we would still be in shackles if Crystal were running the Underground Railroad. She'd be like, listen, we almost got caught, y'all. That was too close. But we're going to have to turn back.
But we would have taken the easiest route, is what I'm saying.
Nigga, there wasn't no easy route. There wasn't no easy route. Y'all, we will not be responsible for the miseducation of the public.
Lord.
We will not. We will not. There was no easy route, okay? If there was, Harriet would have found it.
Okay.
Yes.
If we don't have this together by episode 12, I'm just saying we need to reevaluate whether or not we should all 3 say it. That's all I'm saying. Okay, so if this is your first time listening to us, Dim Black Mamas is a podcast for us and by us, a show about the life and times of 3 Black mother creatives raising Black children. We are creative women, writers and directors.
We do everything.
We out here, honey.
Breastfeeding experts, therapists. So we are not only mothers, but we are creative women.
And we are all over social media. So make sure you follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at Dim Black Mama.
And now we have merch, which we're really excited. You about to see the cutest little baby in her Black Mama Magic onesie. So you can go to Teespring and see some of our merchandise for purchase.
Yeah. Warning about the baby. Don't get caught up.
Oh,
this
God.
is a really, really cute baby.
She's so cute.
Don't get caught slipping, because when you see her, you're going to be like, oh my God, I want another baby. But let me tell you something. First of all, there's no guarantee that your child is going to turn out cute. There are no guarantees. Second, this is true.
No one wants to talk about it.
Isn't every baby cute in their mother's eyes?
All babies are not cute. Again.
To their mother.
Let me
repeat
this.
No? Okay.
Wait, Crystal, I just want to, you're being recorded and this is going to go out to the public, but you can move forward. I just feel like as your friend, this is one of those moments where you might look back and be like, bitch, why you let me say that shit? So this might be one of those moments. So just in case you are saying this on the mic. Okay.
All babies are not cute. All babies are precious, but all babies are not cute. And it's okay. All people aren't cute. Like it's really okay.
Are you one of those people who says, oh, she's so precious?
I will
Is
say
that what you say when the baby's unattractive?
Or I will make a comment on the outfit. Or I will choose to talk about something else. Oh, when did you have her again? How old is he? Yeah.
Now I'm going to try to think back to the things she said when I sent her pictures of my baby. She's telling on herself.
There are just some things, Crystal, that we know in the Black community, but we don't say out loud. Okay, this is one of them.
Crystal says everything out loud.
Pretending that we understand what Rep. John Lewis is saying is one of those things. Okay, we don't say that out loud. We just nod our heads and we agree because he is our hero. You understand? And you do not say these things out loud. God.
Oh God. Oh.
We never quite get it.
I'm out.
Right?
You just smile and nod.
Okay.
Smile and nod.
Just saying, it's the truth. All babies are not cute. All babies are precious. This is just what it is. This is what it is.
I mean, at least they get precious.
Yeah, they're precious. Thea is thinking about having another baby, and she's so nervous that she'll send me a picture.
I can't.
It's so precious.
I can just see this being auto-tuned, and I just want to save her from this. Nobody auto-tunes this. Please don't auto-tune this.
What I'm saying is, don't get caught up looking at this baby thinking, I want to have another baby because this is the kind of baby you want. There are also no guarantees that you're going to get a chocolate baby. This is a chocolate baby. So I'm just saying, don't get,
What she's saying is don't get the baby, get the onesie. And pretend you have a baby.
Yes.
Pretend you have a baby.
Yes. There it is. Don't get the baby.
Get the onesie.
Get the onesie.
Get the onesie.
Yeah. Get that. Okay. So our show lineup is the usual lineup. We're going to start out with What's Good. Then we have our mac and cheese segment, which I'm super duper uber excited about because it talks about building a village, which has been really instrumental to me during motherhood, like extremely instrumental. So I'm excited about talking about building a village. And of course, we will end the show with Black Mama Say.
All right. So now going into our What's Good topic. And what's good is just what is happening to keep us sane right now in our lives. What are we doing to stay sane? Crystal, what's good?
So what's good with me is I directed my first show in 10 years.
Yay!
And it's been really a great experience. I've learned a lot. This is my first time directing as a mother and a wife, so learning to balance those things and learning to schedule, like make the schedule applicable to my life instead of making the schedule and then trying to figure out how to fit my life into it. But realizing, okay, you're a wife and you're a mother, and so you need to schedule your rehearsals accordingly. And surprisingly, I was really resistant to directing this show, but we really need, well, a little bit about the show. It's called Untitled Reconstruction Project, and it's based on the 1871 actual testimonies of people in my community who were terrorized by the KKK. In 1870, Joseph Rainey, a Black man elected during Reconstruction from the state of South Carolina to the House of Representatives, was sent a threatening letter by the KKK. And he read the letter on the House floor. And the president convened a committee to come down here and investigate what was going on in the upstate, because people were being killed and whipped like no other place. So they came down and investigated, and these are the testimonies of the people in my community who testified, and their testimonies are in Washington, and they're also housed at Wofford College, which is a college here in my town. We took their actual testimonies and we created, it's not a play, we call it a project around it, where we added poetry, we added music, and we wrote some other scenes based on historical information. And we also gathered local artists to help us create more work around the play. So that's what the play is about. And I was resistant to directing it because I was going to be in it. And we felt like the show needed a Black director, and we couldn't find one. And finally, I was like, why am I so resistant to directing this show? So I said yes. The other things that I've learned about myself are great. I realized that I have the stamina to do something like this, which is also a reflection of, I think, the surgery, which I talked about in the last episode, and just energy-wise and focus-wise, being able to be at rehearsal every single night and be dived in and focused. I don't think I would have been able to do that prior to the surgery. So that was just a great thing to learn about myself, and I'm excited. And I have some other directing and writing projects lined up that I'm super duper excited about. So that's what's good with me.
That's great. And you are going to pull it off like a G, like you always do. Can't wait to see it happen.
I'm ecstatic. I'm really, really excited. It's a multimedia show as well, so we're going to have like slides and a whole bunch of other stuff in as well.
Okay, Thea, what's good?
So my what's good is I've begun to implement a couple things to help me stay consistent with my self-care plan. So I think we hear the word self-care a lot. People tell us, yo, you should take care of yourself, but it's really hard if you haven't identified tools and you're not using them on a consistent basis. So two tools I've been using, one is an app called Stop, Breathe, and Think. And it allows you to check in, and it allows you to see how is your body feeling? Is it good? Is it poor? Is it great? How are you feeling mentally? And then it allows you to choose 5 emotions. And once you finish with that, it generates suggested meditations for the day. Sometimes it's interesting because you have a mix, right? Part of you may be anxious about something, but the other part of you may be feeling pretty grounded. So you can choose that, and then it gives you a list of 2 or 3 meditations to do for that day. So that part of it, I really like the check-in. It forces me to check in first thing in the morning. And then I do one of those meditations, and then I usually save one for like later in the day. But the other thing it does is it tracks your progress. So you can see how many days you've been consistent with checking in, how many hours you've meditated, like all of that. So I like that because sometimes we don't give ourselves credit for what we do. Krista, why are you shaking your head? I feel like
I
knew you would like that.
I just feel like self-care shouldn't be pressure. Like you shouldn't be graded.
It is not graded.
That's the thing. like with my fitness pal, I do. It is a grade. It is a grade because.
But consistency is the key to it. You have to be consistent,
So
which is why
Crystal does not like is the element of accountability that is present. It is the element of accountability. She don't like something that says, "Bitch, you've been slacking."
I don't mind being held accountable. No,
bitch, you didn't check in yesterday.
I don't mind.
She don't like that shit.
No,
she don't like shit like that.
I don't mind being held accountable. What I don't think though is if it's self-care, I shouldn't feel the pressure to check in and like make progress. Self-care, I don't think should add pressure to my life. Like, oh my God, I didn't check in for 3 days.
So
like,
the app doesn't say, hey, bitch, you haven't checked in 3 days. Where you at? The reality is that I wish it did. If it did that, I would turn that feature on. Here's the reality. Here's the problem with self-care. Self-care has to become a ritual. A ritual has to become a part of your routine to be effective. Most of us, we engage in self-care when we've had a breakdown. So it's like, oh, I'm feeling super stressed. The routine of it is to keep you from getting to the point of a breakdown. The lows are going to happen. The shifts in life are going to happen. But if you're routinely taking care of yourself when they happen, you're more stable to deal with them. So if you're like Crystal and a little resistant, you can always just use it after your breakdown. I mean, that's super effective.
Okay, let me ask you something. Let me ask you something about the progress. What does the progress tool look like? What
so
does
it tells you, I'm pulling it up right now.
Oh, you checked in for 5 days straight. That's what I don't like about MyFitnessPal, which I'm using right now. It's like, hey,
I thought you loved MyFitnessPal. I was about to mention that. I don't like the aspect of that one either. Because I don't want anybody bugging you to work out.
It doesn't bug you. It doesn't send you notifications. Nothing like that. It just says you can look at my progress. This is nice work. You've meditated 4 hours and 57 minutes. And then it shows you like how many days you've been doing it. And then it shows you like your week, which I think that's good to track your mood over a week. I've been using this a lot with clients to track their moods.
Oh.
It tells you what's been your top meditation that you use the most, what have been some of your top emotions.
I like that. I like those. The only thing I don't like is, oh, you've meditated for this many minutes. Nice work. I think that you should just get credit for just like attempting. So what if you only do you don't do that many minutes?
It's not like they have like
every day. I just don't feel like
your friend Thea over there has meditated 6 hours. Can you beat her? And see, this is the problem. You can't make everything a competition.
But you know what? That actually would work.
That's
what she wants.
That's what she wants.
So the other tool that's been really great is I committed to 30 days of yoga. And it's going to get real quiet. See, folks are sipping tea and looking off into the distance on this thread. Because I should say we decided to do 30 days of yoga.
Listen, it's never too late to start over.
It's never too late. It's never too late. You can always jump in.
I'm going to go back. To day 4.
I told my sister, and she's like, I'm going to do all them shits in one day. That's not how the program's designed.
I'm not going to do that. I'm not even going to lie.
You should. But I am going to go back. I'm on day 22. Look at their faces. See, I threw that out there just for the shade. Did y'all feel that chill in the air out there in listener land? Did you feel the chill? I threw it out there just so you could feel that chill.
Let me say, I'm not going to put any pressure.
Here's the word pressure again. They're hurting this pressure. Hurting this pressure.
No. Let me finish. Because a part of self-care is not putting extra pressure on yourself. I started out, I got to day 7. Somebody dropped out of the play. Some things happened. And so, I just couldn't like fit
It's
it
okay.
in right now. But after
This is
the
our
play
key
is
phrase right
over-
now. When we're talking to Crystal, everything is after the play. It's kind of like when Jesus resurrected, we say AD.
I'm not.
AP is after
AD.
the play. That's what everything.
It's gonna be after
Crystal's
the
like,
play.
she gonna
I'm
have
not
a
making
shitload
any
of. She gonna have a
major
stack of stuff
decisions.
waiting for her after AP. It's gonna be a stack waiting for AP Productions, AP Productions. But so here's what I'll say. I'm using Yoga with Adrian, and it's actually really great. It's a really great.
It is good.
And most of them
good.
are under 30 minutes. If you have any suggestions of Black yogis who do a similar 30-day plan, please let us know, because I want to keep
yes.
going. But I
Yes.
really love Black yogis. I wrote a piece on it for Black Girl in Om called "Black Yogis Exist and Yes We Matter," because it's just it's such a difference. I mean, just the music, y'all. I mean, I can get into Downward Dog with Drake. You know what I'm saying? It just does something for me. Or Erykah Badu. So that's what's working. And I just want to put out the message that self-care is not just this arbitrary thing. It becomes a discipline or ritual that we incorporate. And it takes some commitment.
Yeah.
And also, I think self-care has sort of been co-opted to make it like this expensive thing.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be expensive. Yoga with Adrian is on YouTube. The videos are free. You can look at them on your phone, on your laptop. The app that Thea has is free. So it doesn't have to be this expensive thing. It doesn't have to be a thing that takes up an hour of your day. It can just be 15 minutes, 5 minutes of you like just acknowledging yourself, how you're feeling and what your needs are. And I do feel like when you are aware of the feelings going on in your body, then not that you have to hide those or change those, but as you go throughout the day, when you interact, you can make different choices. You can say, you know what, I'm feeling a little low today, so I know I'm not going to be watching the news today. You're not trying to hide your feelings, but you're making other choices.
Deliberate, intentional choices to take care of yourself, to protect yourself.
The last thing I'll say about it is that, like the commitment to it is also very spiritual, because it has to be something that you do no matter what kind of day it is. So, like, what I've learned to do is
And I just want to say this is coming from Jesus' spirit among us.
What I have learned to do
This is why this is why she has a book agent, and Nekisha and I are working on
forgiveness. We're working on forgiveness. Wait, I feel like it's something that on bad days, I tell myself, even on bad days, you get there, even if you do less, it doesn't matter. Like, sometimes I don't have it in me to do the full thing. It's a bad day. It's a rough day. I would get on there and I would do something for the consistency, because the idea is that whether it's a good day or a bad day, your spirit is still whole, and you're still whole.
Yeah.
And it's just a reminder of that. So, it's really, we tend to abandon it on the bad days, and that's the days we need to do it the most. Yeah.
That's so true.
I think my struggle is time. So, like, I'll have all of these things lined up, and when I started the play, I was like, okay, rehearsals are at this time, so I have everything lined up, and then something changes. How do you...
Well, self-care can't be the first thing to go out the window when your schedule's off, right?
Yeah,
We
I
all
think
do that.
what happens is, and we also are pretty
prioritize
rigid.
it.
We're a lot more rigid than we think. So one of the things I've been thinking to myself lately is, how can you be more gentle with yourself, with your time, how can you be more gentle? And so, like I said, if we have less time, then let's think, like, why don't we think about adapting that? Like, okay, we'll just do 5 minutes. Okay, we'll just do this, or like, just adapt it. Like, it doesn't have to be the same way every time to be self-care. It just has to happen every time.
I like that. So what's good with me when this episode publishes? This will be past, I'm sure, but I'm very excited. My birthday's coming up. Very excited. It's a time of year where I get to kind of reflect on the past year and growth and set new goals for the year to come, and just sit in gratitude of making it this far. We know a lot of people that just didn't make it to this age. And I'm just really grateful and thankful to be at this place in my life. So birthdays are really reflective time for me, and I'm excited about that.
So am I the only person who doesn't reflect? Like, my birthday, I'm all about, like, celebrating
this
myself.
question.
So, like,
I feel like the way you're asking that
reflect.
question, we're taking on the bigger picture. So let's do this. When do you reflect? Like, if we say during your birthday is going to go into do I reflect on, and we should just say, you know what? Boom.
When do you
Irby reflect?
I start reflect after Thanksgiving and beginning to think about my year and the next year.
Your birthday's early in the year, though. Well, I guess no. But still, no, I do think I'm very reflective around my birthday. I'm too reflective. Crystal's like, you always get this way around your birthday.
You do.
Yeah, I've noticed that in my Leo as well.
Yeah, I reflect like in November about like all the shit I said I was gonna do.
Okay, that's not what I'm doing.
All
I'm
the
not
moves
saying
that other people are making, and then I'm like, but you know what, bitch? Look at the shit you did do. So then, like by the time Christmas gets here, I'm like really on myself, and I'm like, hey, this is what I'm gonna do next year. And then I'm rolling into my birthday in March, like, hey. Look at me.
So when I'm not actually reflecting on what other folks have done.
I don't reflect on what they have done. I reflect on how that reflects on me.
I think I spend a lot of the year beating myself up like, oh, dang, look at that. Look at, I should be there. And so this is the time where I'm just really grateful to be alive. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it's a little bit different. I will still be accepting gifts from our audience when the episode drops. Don't hesitate to drop me a link, coupon code, whatever you want. I will graciously accept.
What do you like? Tell the people what you like so you don't just get random stuff.
Honey, tell the people listen, I tell my kids not to take edibles from strangers, but I will accept milk chocolate in all its forms. And speaking of edibles, I am in Los Angeles, so those are fine too.
So listen, you can send her C's candy coupons and stuff like that, or gift cards. So you can email us at dimmblackmamas@gmail.com, and you can, like in the subject, put Nekisha's birthday.
Yay!
If you want to hit us up and send her a little something. For
chocolates and Audible credits. Would be wonderful.
Audibles is thebomb.com.
Yes.
If y'all ain't on Audible, yo, Audible is the shiznit. I love
I'm
Audible.
not on Audible.
I love it. Oh, you should totally get Audible.
She likes holding her books and laying out in the grass, feeling the sun on her face while she reads.
Now, there's some books that I absolutely buy, but there's some books that I'm like, I want to hear that, I want to read it, but I don't want to buy it.
I'm not taking any more book recommendations from you because Iyama has me all messed up. She opened up
Peace from Broken Pieces.
Peace from Broken Pieces. She opened it up, telling this tragic story that just broke my heart. I was laying down in the bed trying to listen to it on the way to sleep, and she messed me up.
Why would you do that? It's Ayala. Why would you listen to Ayala before you go to bed?
Listen, I get it in when I can get it in. My audiobooks put me to sleep. They are while I'm cleaning, cooking. Listen,
that ain't the voice you hear before bedtime.
Was gonna mess me up. I need a few days. She wasn't calling nobody gutter night, but she was like reliving the most heart-wrenching time of her life.
She was, and I didn't know that you listened before bed. I would have told you, like, that ain't the book to listen to before bed. Listen to that book early in the day so that you can have time to like come up. You know what I'm saying? Because she reveals some stuff in that book. Have you listened to any more of it?
No.
Girl, you ain't gotten to the part about her husband?
No. She was just broaching that when I was like, I gotta go to sleep.
And listen. Read that early in the day.
And make sure that Michael's not home. Because you're going to need some time.
Yeah.
You'll need some space.
Yeah, you'll need some space after you read that. Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's a good book. But I think Audible is for books that I'm interested in, but I'm not trying to spend time on like that. Like Rashad and I listened to Tony Dungy's book. Him and his wife wrote a book called Uncommon Marriage. And we listened to that on Audible while we were driving Shayera back to FAMU. So things
Did
like
they
that.
narrate? I love it when different voices are present. Did the two of them narrate that?
The two of them narrated that.
That's nice. That's good. That's a good idea too. All right, so that's what's good with me. Let's move on to our mac and cheese segment.
So our mac and cheese segment today is on building a village. And this is a topic we've been wanting to cover. There's a book that we've referenced before called The Healing Wisdom of Africa. If you haven't read it, it's by Malidoma Some. It's super vital and important for, I'm going to go and say, Black people, Black families, Black communities, to read this book and understand how we can bring practices from our ancestry and from Africa into our lives here and heal a lot of things. Like, you know, sometimes we feel like we have to be in a certain space to heal. But honestly, if you bring the rituals and the practices to you, you can do a lot of healing right where you are. And so, but the point of it all is village is such an essential part of living in accordance with our African ancestry. And that has become more and more difficult to do. I blame integration. That we're just gonna have this conversation, okay? I know.
Yeah.
This may be unpopular, but that's what we're here to talk about. I know it seemed like a good idea at the time. And I even think in some of King's later speeches, he was like, He was a little reflective about that.
Rethinking it.
Let me just say something about integration. He was. In fact, there's a quote where he asked Harry Belafonte, when it comes to integration, am I leading my people into a burning house? One of the most powerful things I learned at Florida State when I was a Black Studies minor, go figure, Florida State, was that integration never really happened. Because true integration is when all the cultures would have crossed. So you would have had white students going to Black schools, white people moving into Black neighborhoods. That never really
didn't
happened.
happen.
What you had was Black students moving into white schools, and you would have a couple of Black schools left, and those Black schools were eventually turned into middle schools and were no longer high schools. Black teachers lost their jobs. Black administrators at those schools lost their jobs because the schools that the Black students were moving into were white schools. And white schools were not going to hire Black teachers and Black administrators to be there over white students as well. When it comes to our neighborhoods, an interesting thing that I see in my hometown is a lot of places where the Black churches are where thriving Black communities used to be. And so I think that what you're saying, the breakdown of our village, Thea, is really about internalizing white supremacy. So once we were able to move from around ourselves, we start moving into white neighborhoods thinking that, oh, these neighborhoods are better.
It came down, integration came down to access to whiteness, which is not congruent with African values and ways of living. Which is why no matter how long we live in a society that has been structured for whiteness, we cannot fully adapt. We are always going to be dysfunctional in a white space because that white space is not constructed in accordance with our ancestral energy, who we are. It's just not.
And it's not a malleable space.
And true integration would have been not us going into their spaces, but giving us equitable resources in our own spaces to build our own spaces. Because the problem with segregation and separate but equal was that the Black schools were worse because they didn't have equal resources, not because it was a Black school, but because we weren't getting fair.
And even the idea of worse is interesting because worse resource-wise, like you're saying, but I am experiencing with my daughters that at the Black school, they still managed to maintain village. So I got a call when homework assignments were missed. I got a call when tests were missed. They were told how excellent they are. They were nurtured in that way. They've gone, we've talked about this before in the education podcast, to these diverse schools. They don't have a village mentality. That's not their ancestry. So people of color who come from spaces that are tribes or villages, or that literally is a centerpiece. The other thing, like you mentioned, not only the church, but the school is the centerpiece of the community. So your kids are important. Where your kids go is important. And so when we got access to the schools, these so-called better schools, because they had resources, and we took the kids out of the community, everything else is going to go from there. So in this book, let me just go back for a second. In this book, the way he maps out village, men are referred to as Baba, women are referred to as Iya. Mother and father, everybody is referred by that in that way. And so the children grow up understanding that we are all responsible for parenting you. When this child is born, when this child is conceived, there are rituals where the whole community comes together. Everybody's brought together to support that family and to support the destiny and the gifts of that child before they're even born. And as they go through their process, that continues through different rituals in different ways. What that made me feel like is like, here we are in this foreign construct trying to act like we are the only ones who can raise these children, like by ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot do it with just the two parents. You need a social network. You need a support system. The other day, my kids were having trouble in school. I called Miss Porter Morris, their second grade teacher, who is my boo. Okay, we're going to grow old together. Okay, so I called Miss Porter Morris. I said, Miss Porter Morris, I am getting so frustrated. I don't know what to do. And she was like, we FaceTiming. She FaceTimed. She said, I know who you are. I know you're excellent. I remember when you did this and was breaking down what they were doing in the second grade. That's village. I want us to get to the point where, let me break down the Jay-Z line. We have a society within a society, right? When we live communally.
Yes.
I know we think we're supposed to live separately from each other, but I think we are meant to live communally. And that is like my ultimate goal. But until that happens in a physical way and we can become economically sound to do that in certain ways, and mind you, when we do that economically sound development, they gentrify it, like what's happening in Leimert Park. But to be able to do that in a way that is sustainable. In the meantime, these are the networks. And so a couple things I've done is, I knew very, very early I wanted Village for my daughters. And I've had to construct one for my stepdaughter. We've talked about the sex talk and the red tent parties. That's an example of Village. I said, who are the women in her life? Who can share their stories? Who can share their wisdom? The more stories I read about, one woman said when she was visiting there, a woman handed her baby. And, the visitor is holding the baby and the woman kind of disappears. Much later that evening, she comes back for the baby because they trust everyone in the village. It's not unusual for a child to spend a couple days at someone else's home. When they're born, they spend most of their time with their grandparent. Why? Because they're both the closest to spirit. One's towards the end of life, one's towards the beginning.
I spent more time with my grandmother from 0 to 3 years old. And it's crazy. I have vivid memories of this. And my family tells me this too, than I did with my mother. My mother lived in the same house because my mom was working. And my grandmother and my aunt, who is my mom's youngest sister, she kept us at that time. And so I spent way more time with my grandmother than I did with my mom. And it didn't have a negative effect on me. I feel like now, I know that grandmothers are raising children for a lot of different reasons now more than ever. But I feel like people feel as though kids should spend the most time with their parents. And I actually didn't spend most of my childhood with my parents. I spent a lot of time with my grandmother. I spent entire summers away from my parents. From 5 years old to 13 years old, I was gone from the last day of school to the night before school started again. And I don't think that had a negative impact on me. When my parents divorced, my mom worked second shift when I was in high school from 3 p.m. to 3 a.m. My aunts picked me up for my after school activities, or, I spent a lot of time at my aunt's house and my grandmother's house, and I don't feel like my mother wasn't there for me.
And I think we're experiencing a lot of depression and anxiety because we're trying to do this thing without a village. And life was never meant to be achieved, survived in that way. The thriving comes through the collective energy of being a part of a village.
So there's a lot, so much to unpack here. We've said a lot of different things. A couple thoughts. Crystal made a really, really interesting point that I'm probably going to have to let soak in for a while regarding what integration truly was. And it was more about trying to insert us into a society.
It wasn't integration.
Into a construct, to use Thea's word, that wasn't really malleable. It didn't want us there. It didn't work. It didn't bold or bend to embrace us, and we didn't. Nor did we want to be in it. All we wanted were equitable resources to, build our own. And
that's what we wanted.
That's it. We was promised that shit.
To talk more about the village, have a completely different experience from the two of you, who both of you grew up around family, extended family, could see relatives pretty frequently. I did not have that experience.
Did you have that?
I had that when my mom and my sister were my sister stayed with me the first month after I had Thea.
Now, when you were growing up, though, did you have relatives around?
No.
Would you say you had a village? No. Okay. So, my bad. I thought you were saying the same as Crystal, like you remember your grandmother being there and other relatives.
My dad's from Panama, so he didn't have a lot of family here, and my mom's from Maryland, so her family, so they came out here pretty much on their own.
Yeah.
And I had I had my cousin
like me.
and my aunt's family that were here.
Yeah, and like I grew up with 21
Everybody.
first
That's
cousins,
a lot.
and like
Yeah.
like 30 second cousins. Like I know all of my great aunts. And
So Thea, where did you get this concept of needing a village to raise your family then?
I'm gonna say it came from the ancestors, because it really
It's just in you.
was.
Yeah.
It was very clear to me after I had Ted that was something I wanted for her.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you when her village started. Her village started with America's Next Top Model.
Oh yeah.
She had just had Talani, and her husband at the time was working second shift. And so she was at home, these two small children under the age of 2, by herself. And so she was like, I just need somebody to come over and just hold a baby so I can watch America's Next Top Model. Because Talani would just like stay up and smile at you.
She
like,
would.
She would cry.
Yes, she liked to just
so,
be
you know,
up.
you had to watch her, you know. And so she invited me over and 2 of our other friends at that time, and we would just go over on Wednesday night
America's
and watch
Next Top Model,
America's Next Top Model with her. And we would end up staying to like 1 o'clock in the morning, and sometimes until her ex-husband came home, because she just needed somebody. And her other friends at the time were at a different space in their life.
Yeah, which is a whole nother conversation. That's a tough place to be.
And so she just needed somebody.
And you know what? Now that you mention it, I've had versions of that since then. Like there was a top model night, and then I would do Wine and We, where in order to play Michael Jackson Dance Experience or Just Dance, you had to drink 2 glasses of wine. And I would do that once a month and have a bunch of women over.
And you did that after your divorce?
When I moved into my own place. And then here we have the Black Dove dinners every other month. Yeah. So I didn't even think about that. I didn't remember that.
So that to me is interesting, that having grown up without much of a village per se, in building your own family, have harkened back to the ancestors and are creating these opportunities for village around you, and really working to foster them by having consistent meetups, calling these people, making sure, you know, you don't let the friendships or relationships die off. Make sure you keep them around. Miss Portermore's from 2nd grade, you know, still in the picture kind of thing. That's really, really, really interesting. I have a different experience that I want to share, because some of our listeners may have a similar experience. It is one of losing the village, quite frankly. So my parents, similar to Thea, moved to Florida with me and my sister when I was 1.5. And they moved there just looking for work and better opportunity. While my father had had an aunt there, and his mother were there briefly. For the most part, they came on their own. And so they had to figure out, you know, who they could trust to help with us. But they did not go very far with that. They ended up being our sole providers, right? So there were some folks in the neighborhood that we could go, they could, you know, keep an eye out when we went out to play, and, you know, they could trust them to make sure we got home safe, or, you know, if we were acting up, they may say something, but we weren't sleeping over nobody else's house or anything like that. There was always this general mistrust or distrust or caution about folks, right? And so growing up with that, and again, you know, I have some, you know, my mom had some best friends that I called aunties, and we had, you know, one particular family that was the pastor of our church who we, you know, grew somewhat close to, and we called them godfather, you know, god brother and sister to this day. But for the most part, it was the 4 of us, mother, father, sister, and I. And so I carry that into my own parenting. And then now I married someone who's in the military who moves all the time. And so I'm creating a family, giving birth to children in places I've never lived, places where I don't know a single soul, and nor am I interested particularly in getting to know the folks I see around me. So it's closing in a different way. Closing in is just us. We all we got.
You know what your story sounds like to me? It's the story of what people call migration. I call it exile. And so when I think now, I don't know, Thea, if this breaking down the village started with integration. Maybe breaking down the village started during Reconstruction, when the KKK was terrorizing Black people in the South. And so Black people moved away from their families and moved west and moved north so that they will would survive.
But they were still building. They were still building successful Black towns where they,
right. They were still building successful Black towns that got
right.
burned down.
But that was village.
And
they were still creating village. Is my point. Yeah.
No. Black people were still creating village, but I think the whole idea of having to leave your home out of fear and for more opportunity, it not only makes you distrustful of white people, but it makes you distrustful. It
makes you feel unstable.
Exactly. It makes you feel unstable. It makes you feel like
unsettled. No roots.
No root. It makes you feel like
unanchored is what I was saying.
Unanchored. Yeah. Like you don't have roots. So that's what.
And that's why gentrification is so
like
pathological. And that's why people act like it's so innocent and it's so great. And I'm like, no, it is the constant uprooting of Black people. The constant reminder that you don't have roots here, that you can't be grounded, that you can't be anchored, and things without roots don't grow.
That I'm thinking when you said Reconstruction, we probably can take this all the way back. We can take this all the way back to when we all were first forcibly brought here. There was deliberate actions to mix languages, to mix tribes, to make sure that we could communicate and commune together as community. However, you see throughout history that we continue to overcome that each time. We figure out a way to come back together. I'm waiting for that wave now.
I feel like the integration, why that's such a marker is that was a blow that we haven't recovered from. The other ones we managed to still come back together some kind of way. Yeah. But that was definitely the one, and I think we haven't figured out because it was an economic strategy, and we weren't. That wasn't not that we didn't. We valued strong economy, but for the purpose of the village, right? Like not for individual necessarily gain, right? Which is a more capitalist idea. Listen, we see people. Asian populations don't fuck with like if you drive through LA, Koreatown is Koreatown for sure. They got their stores, they got their banks, they got everything. Little Tokyo, Chinatown, you're very clear where you are. Little Armenia, Jewish people. Yeah. But notice which spots get gentrified. Because Little Armenia would never be gentrified. Chinatown, they're not going there. They're going to Highland Park, they're going to East LA. And they're going to, Lamert. So, there's an intention, there's a lot of intentionality in the idea of never let them get stable. They know when we get settled, we thrive. Like it's almost instant. But it's this idea of destabilization, a constant destabilization that really bothers me, which is why, though, I think Black Twitter is a village. Technology, which, us in technology and spirituality were on some magic shit. So it doesn't surprise me that with the resurgence of technology and this sort of boom in technology, social media and things like that we found Black Twitter, that we came together on some level and figured out power again. We are sun people. We hold sun in our bodies more than any other people. We are creators. Like that is literally what we do. This whole planet does not exist without the sun. So that is a powerful thing, to have that kind of melanin, to have that kind of power. And so we don't need much to pull it together. But I feel like sometimes they know us better than we know ourselves.
They steal our shit and
then sell it back. Let me tell you a perfect example of that. I have to tell you this real quick. I know this is... Okay. There's this place. It's like called Sweet Dixie's or something like that. I'm going to tell you the most basic shit you done ever heard. This place has been reheating and selling Popeye's chicken. Now, let me tell you something about this, people, okay? At this point, you should be done, okay? There should be no other emotional response to whiteness. This is the most low basic shit that you could ever possibly think of. When you got to reheat our chicken, shit done gone left. And let me tell you the other thing that bothers me about this shit. I got to get this off my chest. This is my early Black mama saying. Selling it for $15. But here's the other thing. This is why I can't respect it. Okay? This is why I can't respect it. Because how you gonna go to Popeyes, steal the chicken, and leave the goddamn biscuits? The biscuits are some of the best things at Popeyes. So you don't even know.
That's how you know they don't know what they're doing.
You don't even know what you're doing. You steal it from us and ain't even taking the best shit. I can't. I have literally, I'm telling y'all, if y'all still emotionally responding to white shit, it's on you now. It's on you. Because this here is the nail in the coffin. Okay? Reheating Popeyes, and then gonna cry saying she feels under attack. This is textbook whiteness, people. This is the most
Fragility.
basic shit you'd ever say. And
All
literally left without the biscuits, okay? People saw the Popeyes boxes being walked in by employees. You didn't even put the shit in a paper bag. I have zero respect.
No, they're bold.
But, because I respect hustle. I give anybody, I'd be like, that she's hustling. This is some lazy, basic, trifling shit.
Yeah.
Okay? That isn't even smart. So if you still have an emotional response to whiteness, I just don't know what to tell you anymore.
Yeah. Okay. So yes, white people will steal our shit and sell it back to us.
This is
but
true.
I think one thing that you may be struggling with in terms of building village, because you're continuously moving, you're moving into spaces that may or may not value blackness. I think one of the things that you may be struggling with is how specifically do you build and vet a village?
That's excellent. That's an excellent point.
Let me say something about a village. A village is not perfect.
No, baby.
It's made up of people.
Oh,
yes. A village is not perfect. And, I grew up around my whole entire family. My whole entire family is not perfect. But you have to figure out for yourself, what is it, number one, that I need? One reason I think building village was important for me as a mother. Well, two things. When I was living in LA, one of the things that I would constantly run into was the whole whiteness of Hollywood. Like that really blew me away. I was like, damn, this shit is white. Like, fuck, this shit is white. So I would be in an acting class, and I'm not only trying to prove my worth as an artist, but I'm trying to prove my worth as a Black artist. You know what I'm saying? And so what I began to realize is that this isn't even the audience that I want to serve. This isn't even the material that I want to do. And so I had to figure out, what is it that I want to do? What is it that I need? And I realized, no, I want to do work by and for Black people. So I had to leave that acting class in Santa Monica, find me a Black acting coach, and a class that was full of Black artists. And that's where I found community. That's where I found village. That's where I found affirmations. And so the first thing I think you have to do is figure out, what is it that you want? What is it that you need? And as a mother, I searched for village because motherhood just wasn't what I thought it was going to be. And I needed someone to affirm me, not only as a mother, but as a Black woman raising Black children. And I found that on the internet. So you can find village in the physical space, and you can also find it in the virtual space. Yeah. And those villages that I'm a part of are not perfect.
Right.
But you have to ask yourself, overall, despite their imperfections, because we sure don't expect white neighborhoods to be perfect, but we sure expect the Black neighborhood to be perfect. Yeah. We don't expect white businesses to be perfect. We'll still buy for them if they do some bullshit commercials, but we sure expect Black businesses to be perfect. We don't offer no redemption to them. So my expectation of my village is, even if it's not perfect, how do we reconcile? How do we move past our imperfections? How do we get to healing? How do we get to forgiveness? How are we able to talk things out instead of just walking away and say, oh, I tried, there you go.
Yeah. I don't know. That's a lot. That's a lot of different things. I think, first I love that story about you being in a white acting class in Santa Monica versus finding a Black acting coach. That resounded with me and really helped me in framing my professional and career objectives. When it comes to my children, and this is what I mean by village, I don't often think of village involving my support system, someone to affirm me in motherhood, and I need to. I've never considered it that. When I think about village, I think about who's helping me raise these kids, right? And the short list is nobody. Has been for 9 years since I had my first, because I don't trust nobody. So that's another situation. But the backstory is because my parents didn't trust nobody. It was just always us. And so now I'm in this situation where I could use the help. I need the help for my own self-care, and I don't trust nobody. You know what I mean? That's what I got to work on.
Well, I think what you have to accept is that, and this is hard.
I was just about to say,
that mistakes are going to be made. Yeah. And you're going to trust people who are going to abuse that trust. But what you have to see in that is that when that happens, because that just happens in life. That's the way life is. But you have to look at it as an opportunity for you to learn,
and your kids learn,
but also an opportunity to teach your children.
See, I feel like the risk is too high. I
because
feel like
that's
the
a
risk is too
lesson.
high. It's a risk I'm okay with avoiding. Yeah, I need some help with this, but granted. But if the risk is,
Because it's
someone could
unavoidable.
do my children
It's
harm them, do irreparable damage or worse, then I'd rather not take the risk. You see what I'm saying?
Okay, so I think I work with people a
Mm-hmm.
lot who are abused or who go through difficult things a lot about forgiving themselves because
Mm-hmm.
predators, we're talking about predators if you're talking about that. Predators
Mm-hmm.
are very skilled at not letting people know they're predators. That's the point. The gazelle doesn't know the
Yeah.
lion is
Mm-hmm.
even in the goddamn bushes, right? Because they're skilled at being stealthy. No one can predict a predator in that way. I mean, that's just what it is. In that way, we would never be safe and we would never take chances and we would never take risks. But there are people who have good intentions, good hearts. Meanwhile, you could
True.
even make a
True.
mistake that irreparably damages your child because that's just what happens. And we have to learn to look at some of those experiences that we deem so damaging and negative as part of who they are and part of their journey and part of what builds them. There's many things I wish my children didn't have to experience that hurt them and make them cry. But I've seen them mature as a result of some of these things. And they have a realistic view of the world that it's not, this or that. It's like it's very complex. And so they've already experienced some of these complexities and it created an opportunity to talk to them about those things. I would say 90-something% of people are not child molesters or predators. Predators are a very specific category of people. They really, really are. And if you're tapped into your intuition and you've raised your girls to communicate with you openly, these are the only things we can do and pray over them day and night when we send them out. But not exposing them to people and the world and different things. We won't never know if they're ready. The world, it can be scary. But my mom always says you have to let in the good with the bad. And you just have to prepare for the bad and accept the good, and learn how to balance that out. I think it's a slow process for you because, like you said, this is something that was taught a generation ago, right? So this is a slow process for you. I think here in LA, you're going to be able to identify more people that you can have that shared experience with. But I do think thinking forward, looking at the political climate, looking at where the world is going, our children are going to need to know how to trust people and build village, how to identify trustworthy people too.
It's not an easy thing for me either because my village is my family. My family just happens to be huge. So, but honestly, outside of my family, I need to work on building village because one of the reasons I'm hesitant to move is because I'm like, I don't want to leave my mama and my grandma and my father-in-law and my mother-in-law and my cousins who will readily watch my children. I will have to move outside of my family. And growing up, I had a village, but it was my family. But we only spent the night over cousins and auntie's house. We didn't invite outside friends to our sleepovers. I remember one time we did, and it was the weirdest thing. We was like, she don't get the jokes. So like so my village was my family. So it's a hard thing. And I actually kept RJ home the first year and a half because I was hesitant to send him to preschool. But what I realized then was I'm not building a child not to be broken. I'm building a child that if they're broken, they know how to come back and put themselves back together again. Do I want them to be broken? No. But what's more important than that is that they have the skill set that if they are broken, if something hurts them, they know what to do in order to survive and put themselves back together.
Sidebar, I want to make sure I clarify here because I'll talk about homeschooling again in another piece we talked about. This is not why I homeschool. I don't homeschool because I'm afraid of other people being around my kids. That's not a thing I have. Just to clarify, I am not some paranoid, freak who, sitting here with the shutters closed and we're afraid of the world. No.
Yeah.
For whole other reasons. What I'm specifically talking about is, my husband and I going away for the weekend and leaving my children in the care of some other people or, dropping them off with some other people while we, go wherever. And so solely leaving them in the care of some other adults who may have slightly different values, slightly different morals, slightly different whatever from my own, and feeling like I can trust them enough that my kids are going to be okay. That's a thing I haven't been able to establish in all the places we've moved. I think my parents have that same experience that you did, Crystal, such that when they moved to Florida, they ain't have no families, and they're like, we ain't leaving our kids with nobody. And they don't have that. I think Thea's right in that living in Los Angeles, living around a whole lot more Black folk, I'm able to identify folks who really get it. We speak in the same language when we talk about our kids. We, side-eye and the same actions in our children. You know what I mean? I'm seeing already people who get it and understand and parent the way that I do. And I'm already on the path to getting some support set up. I got, 2 sitters right now and, vetting them. I'd love to hear you ladies' feedback on how do you vet someone that's going to be around your kid. Let's say it's not a relative. Let's say it's not someone you've known your whole life. How do you get to a place that you're comfortable calling that person a part of your village? What does that look like?
My standards sometimes are a little low.
You know what?
No, I'm just kidding. I mean,
stop. You're getting older though.
I would say, well, that's the over exaggeration. What I mean by that is that, y'all know me. I move very intuitively and very spiritually. Yeah. So like, I really go a lot off like, how I feel around people and what kind of energy and how I see my kids interact. I'm not as worried about differences in certain ways because I like to expose my kids to a lot of different viewpoints. I think that creates a lot of conversations that we can have, and I wouldn't have them around people who I thought were like really radically different in their ways of thinking. Actually, my kids actually do a good job of identifying people they want in their village as well. They've been able to bring certain friends, and they know what kind of friends and what kind of friends' parents to bring to me. And so they've been able to be like, no, her mom is cool. Like, no, she don't play. They know what to say, and they know how to act, and they know what kind of people I'll gel with and I won't. But because I started so early, I think that I kind of taken for granted having quite a few people. I don't have that issue as much with Taya and Talani. For me, the vetting is more so about, and part of it is my kids are really self-sufficient. So the person's really just supervising for the most part. Yeah. But, I raised them to be pretty self-sufficient. But, these are people that I had been around myself in different spaces. So maybe I worked with them or maybe I, worked on projects with them. So I knew I had observed them in other spaces. Yeah. If they weren't like people I just randomly met, they were already in my village,
And so you don't have to search for village in terms of just caretakers. You're creating village in terms of your career. So you will meet women, you will meet other people who are supportive of you, who you find nurturing for you. And so they will become your friends. They will become a part of your village. My rules for establishing village is number 1, if you voted for 45, you cannot.
Honey, that's a given. That's a given. I don't care what your reason is.
And I'm not joking about that. Because the one thing that I'm not going to do is debate whether or not white supremacy exists. Everybody who comes into contact with my children is not a part of my village. There are teachers that my children have had who I consider a part of my village. There are teachers that my children have had that I'm like, great teacher, not a part of the village. Yeah. One thing that I really watch is my children's connection with that person. Yeah. If Shayera, her village came out of, I watched her grow close to friends, and then I began to get to know their mothers. And that is how that village came out. But that village was housed at another mother's house. So her friends weren't spending the night here because Rashad is a principal, and having kids who go to his school spend the night at his house is like a thing. So that village was housed at another parent's house. But certain questions would come back to me in terms of, oh, well, such and such wanted to know about this, and she didn't feel like she could talk to her mom, so I told her that I would ask you. Or even though the village was housed at another person's house, a lot of the questions that the children in the village had would still come back to me. So I trusted my children in the care of another person, but I also knew that I had put enough in Shayera that if she had questions or if she heard like a different thought process or something like that, that we could come back and have a conversation about it.
That makes sense.
And so everybody in my village doesn't agree with me. And that's why I have to do the one-on-one work with my children to where we can have a conversation about that.
A person that's a part of my village has to reinforce my parenting. They have to back me up.
Yes.
They cannot go against me. They cannot undermine me. That is an automatic disqualification.
Can you explain the difference in they may have different beliefs and
thoughts exactly.
in reinforcing your parents? Can you explain the difference between
so I feel like, having a different way of doing something or a different way of seeing something isn't necessarily automatically counterintuitive. It could be exposure to different worldviews or different ideas or different experiences, different things. That's fine. But if I say you can't wear makeup or you can't wear this, and that person is like, your mama tripping. You can, all you got to do is this. That you're out.
Yeah.
There ain't no your mama tripping.
Yeah.
One of the challenges of being divorced is not being supported and having conversations with the women.
Yeah.
Who come into their life through that side, because to me that's something I'd be totally excited to do. And if Lexington's mom was open to doing that, then that's something I had hoped to be able to do. It's not possible there, but that ideally was what I would have wanted. Like, is to be able to say, hey, I'm their mom. I'm glad you're here. I love them having a village. I welcomed the last person into the village. And I talk to my girls about that a lot. Like, this is the person your dad is seeing, and there's a certain level of respect that goes with that. And you can like her, and you can think she's a great person. And I'm mom, and I don't feel threatened by that. But when it comes to like decisions about values and things like that, those are things that need to be brought to me, which is a conversation that I would have openly had and ended up having to just make sure the person felt welcome and just wait and see if they had any questions for me. But I think for people in those spaces, in blended family situations, please try to do that. Like, please try to build that village across that line and like just communicate what you as the primary biological parent want and let that person know how they can support that vision, because your child and you have a vision, and that that people have to support that. So I don't play that at all.
That makes perfect sense.
That is an automatic disqualifier. And to be honest, I've never had a problem with it, because I don't pick people who would do that.
How important is it for your village to have a mixture of men and women and older and younger people?
Older people, I think, are important.
Older people are vital.
They're vital. The younger your kids are, the more they will like being around older people. Sometimes as they get older, they don't like it as much. But I think they're important. And I think the respect for them and listening to their stories is super, super essential. But I will say my village for my daughters is largely women. One of the exceptions would be Shihan, who's their godfather. And he and Elsie are wonderful, and he's great. My dad is somebody that I have talked to my girls when I need something to come from a male perspective. And my husband tries to create opportunities for that too. I'll be honest, I'm not open like that when it comes to men.
As the mother of sons, it's something that we're struggling with. It's something that Rashad and I have talked about, and what it's going to take is for Rashad to build a village of men who they can have access to.
Oh Lord, are they all going to be cues? I mean the men in the village, because we might need to insert Super Noob. I'm going to have to send Super Noob over to South Carolina. Oh.
No. Well, you know what? I'm going to say no.
Okay.
And this is and this is why. I do feel like they need to see a diverse range of manhood and masculinity. I do feel that way. No, they're not all going to be Qs. He has some friends that are Kappas and some friends that are Alphas. So no. But I think that one thing that Rashad struggles with is friendships and
I think men, yeah.
I think that's something men struggle with in general. His brother passed away, and ever since his brother passed away, it's really been difficult for him to forge new friendships with men. So that's something that we discussed about him maybe getting involved in a chapter of his fraternity to, bring some more men into our village. I will say, I think that when it comes to men, and village, one thing that I will stand firm on and make sure that my kids' village is balanced out with women, it's toxic masculinity.
Absolutely.
And being exposed to a wide range of men and masculinity doesn't mean that all of those men will be invited into
or have
our
access,
village,
right?
and will have access to them. But that is something that I struggle with as the mother of sons, because I do think it's important for them to be around women. I love that they know you all and they ask about the podcast. I love that. But I also think that it's important for them to be around someone who affirms the gender that they identify with right now, especially for Black
I love
males.
it. I love it.
Black males. So that is definitely a struggle, and that's a conversation that Rashad and I have had. The other thing I want to talk about in terms of village is like your goals outside of motherhood. Like I'm a part of a Side Hustle Pro community. I'm a part of Build Branch Launch with Arsha. I forgot Arsha's last name. Arsha Jones, I think. And those are communities that help me outside of motherhood.
And we belong to EL too, which we haven't talked about.
Well, we talked about social media villages, which are really
important. The three of us really belong to a really honestly, solid one online.
That is what this podcast idea came out of. We're all part of a mommy group, and we would have conversations, and I would be like, oh my God, I totally want to start a podcast, because some of the conversations were really pertinent, really important. And not only does that community support us in terms of mothers, but specifically in terms of being a Black mother. And I think that that's such a powerful thing about social media right now. The woman who started Black Moms Connection wrote an article recently and discussed why she started a Facebook group for Black moms, because there were certain questions and issues that come up for Black mothers that don't come up for non-Black mothers, and she didn't have a physical space where she could ask that question. So she started a virtual space. Because I don't have a physical village outside of my family, I lean on my virtual village a lot. And we know Nekisha leans on her virtual village because she has 20 Facebook groups that she
my God
admin of. No, but really, I think you can take that skill set in terms of the communities that you build online, build communities offline
in real life.
I know. Yeah. I know one of the things that I want to do something like a Black Doves dinner where I can get outside of the comfort of my family, like move beyond that and begin to build a village with women who aren't in my family.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great idea. I definitely have to work on building friendships in real life. That's part of, to your point, I haven't been in places where there's a lot of people that I want to be friends with. But here, there's an opportunity to really make connections with other Black mothers, other families and such in real life. I think that having a strong social media village is really important. The way that we move nowadays, not physically moving house to house, but the way that we operate in just life, we're constantly on the go. We can check in real quick with them, see if everybody's okay, or ask a question and keep going. And so it's kind of the pace at which things move now. It really helps to have someone you can bounce things off really quickly. So I'm really appreciative of the social media villages that I have. But to your point, there's nothing like in person. And those people don't impact my children's lives as much as I want other people to do.
And you come to the Black Dove dinners too, which are people I vetted. But my vetting is different because you got that military vetting, and that's a little different. That shit is real. I feel like I got to do a fitness test to watch Nekisha's kids. It's part of why I have an offer. It's a lot of pressure. Like, I think they come over here and have a ball. Like, they would be like, but I just feel like I won't pass the fitness test.
I would totally trust my kids at your house, Thea. Absolutely.
But here's the thing, Nekisha. I would be terrified.
I don't know why.
Is everybody
Nekisha,
okay and accounted for?
Nekisha, come on.
Come on. Are you okay? Is everybody? They'd be like, can we do anything? No. What we're going to do is play a game called Freeze. And we're going to do it for 2 hours. And your parents, you'll come back, your parents going to find you exactly where they found you.
You know what?
Because your daddy know people. I just want this to stay intact. I want damn Black mamas to blow up.
I don't know why. Y'all, Thea has said this to me a number of times. I don't know why she's free to watch my children. Now, there was a lady who Thea referred me to watch my kids, and the lady called me and was rude. She was rude. And so she off the list.
I don't say.
You can't be mean to the mom.
She's the bomb now. She's the bomb.com, man. I don't know.
But I think this also goes back to villages are not filled with perfect people.
She gets, listen, she's fabulous, and she'll go over and above for them babies. Let their birthday come around. This is going to be a whole production.
I know there are days when you are rude when you make a first encounter with people.
This is, first of all, I don't appreciate this defamation of character that's occurring right now.
My point is villages are not perfect. Even people who you invite into your village are going to make mistakes. You have to figure out and teach your children how to navigate those kinds of relationships. Maybe she was having a bad day. Maybe one of the other kids that she was taking care of, the mama didn't pick him up on time or the dad didn't pick him up. I mean, I wouldn't initially just write someone off who has been recommended just because they were rude the first time that I talked to them. What I would say is, you know what? I think right now is a bad time for us to talk. Give me a better time to call you back. I think the other thing too is when you build a village, it also makes you do work on yourself. I was like, oh no, I got a village. My village is cool. And then I was like, no, my village is my family. Why haven't I gone beyond the boundaries of my family? And it's because that's what was modeled for me. I have to do work on myself about trust issues and anxiety issues I have about going beyond the boundaries of my family when it comes to village. When I left LA, I didn't even have a goodbye party. You know why? Because I felt like, I mean, people ain't gonna really notice I'm gone. Ain't nobody really gonna miss me. I didn't even realize what I had built there until folks was like, you just up and left us. Like, you didn't even say goodbye. You just like dipped out.
Until folks were blowing me up. About where's Crystal? What's going on? Is she coming back to work? Is she coming back for her car? I mean, the bitch laughed. When I say she laughed. Because, you know, we've talked about Crystal's going rogueness before, so we don't have to go there again. But she really underestimated the impact of that on a lot of people. People felt some kind of way.
Yeah. Like the fact that when I go back to Cal State LA, people are like, oh my God, Fred talks about you all the time. This thing that you built, or program you started is still here. I'm amazed by that because I didn't realize that I was that powerful.
So, and that's the part about also how important it is for you to be a part of someone else's village. Because that is also value. Like that instills value in you. So like it's not just about the people in your village, but are you a part of anyone else's village? You know, when we look at the African model of things, it's about balance, right? It's about giving and receiving. So it's not just about what the village brings to you, but it's about what you bring to the village and having an opportunity to contribute and to have your gifts affirmed and to be like of service in that space and in that way.
That's a great perspective. That really is. Thank you, ladies. I don't know how our topics keep turning into counseling me online. You know what I mean? These are just on therapy sessions for Nekisha, also known as Dear Black Mama.
No, it's not. No. Sometimes it's for Crystal. Sometimes it's for Crystal.
That's true. That's true.
You know, I don't like the app that Thea talked about that gives you points for like how often you meditate. I think it's wrong to get a grade on that. You know, that goes to me and not liking being told what to do. That's what it's really about, Thea. That's what I don't like that it's telling me.
The app is not telling you what to do. But you know, I can see how you could see that. You see how I did that, people?
Yes.
That's called validating.
I saw that. That was
what
smooth.
You do when you run into a person who's showing signs of resistance. You just validate. You know, you don't have to mean it. You just have to de-escalate the person, get them calm. That's a little modeling for the village out there in listener land.
I love it. I hope y'all got something from that. I got a lot from that today, and I'm gonna change the way I go about building a village and seeing my existing village because of it. So I hope it blessed y'all.
The last thing I want to say about building a village is Thea shared this awesome video with Issa Rae where she talked about in terms of networking and your career, people always want to network up instead of across with the people who are in the trenches with you. It's like we always want to meet the person who has already blown up so that we can get our thing on too. And vital to her career was working with people who were on the same level as she was, who was in the trenches with her and building from there. And that was really valuable to me. So to all the moms out there who are entrepreneurs, who are creatives, who feel like they have to meet somebody in order for their thing to take off, I really want to encourage them to build a creative entrepreneurial village with the people that are already around you, because I truly believe that if you build that village together, then you'll rise.
You'll blow up together.
Fly together.
Yeah.
Because I mean, that's really a testament to Issa Rae's story.
She said, everybody in that they're all my friends. They're all my friends.
Yeah. So you don't have to meet somebody in order to get to the next level. Look at the people around you and
fly together.
Ashe.
Yeah.
Ashe.
So let's move into our collection plate causes. And our collection plate causes are causes that we feel are worthy of your time, attention, and yes, your money. And if you don't have any of those to give, then pass the collection plate by sharing it on social media.
My collection plate cause is Community Foundation of the Virgin Islands. I don't want us to forget that we're not getting proper reporting on the death toll in the Caribbean and Puerto Rico, that we are not getting proper reporting on Somalia, on a lot of different places right now. And so I'm going to make a conscious effort that every time we do our causes to highlight one of these places. So last time I talked about efforts for for Barbuda. This one is about the Virgin Islands. And again, let me give you the name. It's Community Foundation of the Virgin Islands. It's actually a group of, including my agent. This is how it came to my attention. My agent and a lot of publishers and agents and writers online created a fundraising auction to raise money. And this is the charity that they're going to be giving those funds to. So, we have to remember that every day we wake up with the resources that we need and a sound mind and a functioning body, that we are blessed to be alive. But we have people right now who are, we saw what Katrina did, and this is what's happening in Puerto Rico. So we have to be mindful of that, and in other spaces like the U.S. Virgin Islands. Just to remind people that the U.S. and Puerto Rico are a part of the United States by force. Okay, so you don't force people to become a part of your shit and then just don't do shit for them when shit hit the fan. And I didn't use shit about 4 times in that sentence, and that's how messed up it is. That's how messed up it is.
Oh, gosh.
So my collection plate cause is about the Me Too movement. And the Me Too movement was founded 10 years ago by, I'm horrible with pronunciations. Okay, help me out. Tarani Burke?
I think it's Taran.
Okay.
We just going Taran.
Taran Burke, who is a sexual assault survivor herself and who has dedicated her life to working with girls of color who are sexual assault survivors. She started out working with youth, particularly in the South, and she had a session with a group of young girls, and after the session, one of them came to her and revealed to her that she had been sexually assaulted. And she listened to the girl's story, and they talked, and then the conversation was over. But her biggest regret was that she didn't say Me Too to the girl, to affirm that this happens to other people and to affirm her experience. And so that's why she started the Me Too movement. She is currently working on a documentary that is due out next year. And I think this is so important because when we talk about sexual assault, when we talk about sexual harassment, Black women are often the people who are boldly speaking out against that. And Black women are often not the face of that. When we talk about R. Kelly and the girls who he has sexually assaulted and molested, it's as if we don't see Black girls as children. We see them as women or sexual objects. So I think that's why it's so important to give this woman credit for starting this movement, especially a woman who was dedicated to helping girls of color who were sexually assault survivors. And shout out to Black women on Twitter and Black media who helped bring this woman's name into the light and give her due credit. In particular,
Danielle. Go Knights.
Brittany Danielle.
We went to high school together. Go Knights. I said it, Brittany. I'm giving you a shout out, boo boo.
Brittany Danielle.
Remember the Chick-fil-A in the lunch line, Brittany? You remember that? Remember the Burger King? We used to do that. And now my boo was out here handing out receipts. I appreciate you.
Let me tell you, she is the fact checker of the year.
I love it.
Brittany is
Listen. I just don't even know why they continue to lie. Because we dragged receipts out like we owe back taxes. That's how quick we can get a hold of some receipts.
Yes.
Yeah, so shout out to women like her and Black women on Twitter who made sure that this woman got her due credit.
They be like, that don't sound right. Let me do a little investigation. That don't even sound right. Would a white person say that?
And I mean, there's video of her 10 years ago in a Me Too t-shirt, giving a speech at a rally. And so the website is metoo, metoo.support. metoo.support. You can also follow her on Twitter at Tarani Burke, and I'm probably murdering her name. That's spelled TARANABURK, Tarana Burke. So that's my collection plate cause, and Nekisha.
All right, I am also going to round out our collection plate causes with one more organization that's supporting Puerto Rico and the U.S. Virgin Islands. It is the American Black Cross, people.
What?
Girl,
yes,
you done broke us down with some new information. Let me write that down. All I heard was black.
Always comes with like the best collection plate causes that like we should know about, but we don't know.
You need to know the American Black Cross, okay? Grassroots organizers, volunteers who are directly providing relief to places impacted by the hurricanes. All right? So they're...
See, that's why Big Brother wouldn't let the page load. But the devil is a lie.
The devil is a lie. So I got in. All right? And so they focus specifically on areas where people of diverse backgrounds are, people who are of the diaspora, and they make sure that they are being very honest and having integrity in how the donations are passed directly to those people who need it. The American Black Cross. Brothers running this thing. All brothers. And they have already sent 3 trailer loads full of resources to Puerto Rico, and another is being loaded right now. Get you some. Get over there to the American Black Cross on all their social media and find out how you can donate and support those brothers and sisters who need us most right now.
Great. So those are our collection plate causes. Again, if you can give your time, energy, and money, that's great. If you can't, please pass the collection. And even if you can, pass the collection plate anyway and share it on social media.
All right. So our final segment is Black Mama Say, where we put a little stank on it in terms of some things that Black mamas are known for saying and how we break down our wisdom like nobody else can. All right. Now, Thea, what you got?
It's Tell the Truth, isn't it? That's right.
No, that's not the Black Mama Say. I sent it in a text message that Black Mama Say is a quote.
I don't have one today. So, Crystal. Am
I the only person prepared with a Black Mama Say
I was
today?
trying to just smoothly divert to that. You didn't have to call it out like that. So, Crystal, what's Black Mama Say today, boo?
Wait, but I did want to check somebody. So does our Black Mama Say have to do with checking somebody?
Yeah.
Check them, honey.
Okay. Well, I didn't really. It's not necessarily a checking. What I really wanted to do was give you all the address of this trifling ass spot in Long Beach, so y'all can drive by there and shout obscenities outside the window if you want to.
You know what?
So you can find Sweet Dixie's half-ass bootlegging kitchen at 401 East 3rd Street. Girl, that's a good location too. She's in a good location. And that's Long Beach, California. I just wanted it to be what y'all have all the information you need to check her.
Let me tell you what your Black Mama Say is based on that. Your Black Mama Say is, let me tell you what you're not going to do.
What you're not going to do.
That's true.
Let me tell you what you're not going to do. It's also, it's a mixture. It's a mixture of no, she didn't. No, she didn't.
No, she didn't.
I can't even believe she would fix her mouth. Like, it's so many Black Mama Says, I literally just had to drop the address. So, It's Sweet Dixie. That is 401 East 3rd Street in Long Beach. And you can go try it's probably dry by the time she done reheated it a few times. So, I think somebody should go in there and fake choke on that chicken. And then own Sweet Dixie's.
You know what?
I think that's what the plan should be. So if anybody wants to do that, just be careful. Just make sure you don't actually choke. Don't tell them I told you to do that. But have somebody with you that can do the Heimlich.
But you fake choking.
But we don't know. Because, sometimes people overact.
Oh,
Sometimes people take it too far. Crystal took it too far. Remember we talked about that with the DJ. Some people overact.
I know. Oh, my God.
Some people miss their cue. So just make sure you have somebody with you who knows CPR.
God. Okay. Now I have to pull myself together.
And you know I don't believe in snitching unless it's a white person. That's the only time I believe in snitching, because Krista knows I hate snitching. But I feel like in these regards, this is the closest I'm going to get to reparations. So I'm going to take mine.
Okay. So my Black mama say, since I was the only person who did the assignment correctly.
Whatever.
My Black mama say is from Ida B. Wells, who was the mother of 4. She was a journalist and an activist who basically went on an anti-lynching crusade across the country, so much so that she saw herself as a woman who was living in exile because she had to leave her home in the South because of the articles that she was writing on lynching. And if it weren't for her, there's so much that we would not know about the terror that Black people faced in this country after the Civil War. One of the things she said was, "I'd rather go down in history as one lone Negro who dared to tell the government that it had done a dastardly thing than to save my skin by taking back what I said." In other words, what Ida B. Wells is saying is, I said what I said.
When I said it.
And let me tell you something. Black women do not like to repeat ourselves.
Oh my God. That's so
like, if you want to frustrate a Black woman, make her repeat herself, or say, what did you say? Or ask her to say it again, or say some shit that she's been saying for 10 years, and then you get all the credit in the world.
That happens.
I thought it was just me. I cannot
no.
stand to repeat myself.
And let me tell you something. If you ask a Black woman to repeat herself, she won't do it. She'll be like, did you hear what I said? You heard what I said. Like, she will say everything else but what she said. She'll say,
I'll be like, you tell me what I said.
I'm not going to repeat
myself.
Me what I said. Exactly. Black women do not like to repeat themselves or take back what they said. And I think this is.
I would rather chew glass sometimes. I'd rather chew glass. I'd be like, this is all I got. This is all I got. You can't have this too. You can't have this too.
And I think this is so important that we support this in an era where people have to speak truth to power, because there's so many people who are taking back what they said. You know, you have all these people who, they're such a good person. They're going to get in the White House and they're going to put 45 in line, and they end up cowering to him. They end up trying to make his crazy look sane. You know, Kellyanne Conway was supposed to be a good person for 45. A lot of times when Black women come out against them, they try to scapegoat Black women. And these Black women have stood and said, I am not taking back what I said. I said what I said. And I meant what I said.
I meant what I said.
And from my cold, dead hands.
Will I take it back?
Will you pull a retraction? Because I'm not going to do it.
Shout out to Maxie Waters.
To Maxie Waters. And Representative Frederica Wilson.
Yes, she
from
did.
The state of Florida, who has the flyest cowboy hat collection.
But you know what? If they will reheat chicken, there is nothing they won't do. I want y'all to know.
Won't do. And then
they will
cry
reheat
about
and sell chicken for $15 and not grab the biscuits, that is low dastardly. And that ain't nothing they,
and then cry
they
foul
won't
when
do.
they get called out on it. Pun intended. Foul.
Cried. Talking about girl cried.
Yeah.
Cried. That is my Black mama say. I said what I said. I am not repeating.
I'm telling you, nothing should surprise you now.
And we will threaten you. We'll say, don't make me repeat myself. If I have to tell you again. You
probably heard me tell Aria that this morning when she came here to look for that book for the book club.
You did.
I was serious.
You did tell her that. You did.
The book that was never in the book bag.
This is the second book club in a row. She's about to shame me, y'all. Showing up at the book club and didn't finish the book.
But why is that about shaming you? That ain't got nothing
I wasn't going to say it. I wasn't going to say it.
Oh.
It was the end of the show. I was just going to let it end.
Did I say that out loud?
I was going to say it. Oh. It was the end of the show. But, apparently there will be no passes this episode. All the way to the end.
I didn't think I had said that out loud. I slipped that out.
You had said it out loud. You had said it. And it's recorded, boo-boo.
And it's not going to be edited out.
I mean, she's not living up to her aptitude. She's not being her best self.
Stop it.
Well, fuck it. I said what I said.
That was perfect. double down.
That's all we got,
double
y'all.
down.
That's all we got. I said what I said. Namaste. Damn it.
And we ain't got no more.
I'm doubling down.
Remember, y'all, if you're going to steal the chicken, take the biscuits. If you're going to steal the chicken, take the biscuits.
That is the tip of the day.
That's the tip of the day. If you're going to steal somebody's chicken, take the biscuits. It's the tip of the day.
Do it right. Do it right. If you're going to steal, do it right.
Oh, Lord, I needed that laugh. Nekisha said, fuck it, I said what I said.
All right, guys, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Tumblr. Dim Black Mama.
Oh,
She
gosh.
didn't even try anymore. She said, I'm not defending this shit. I'm done defending myself. I've been defending myself this whole
That's
episode.
it. Ain't got no more. Fuck it.
She said, I'd rather go down in history as one lone Negro. What? Oh.
Yo, it's falling apart. We gotta pull it together. We're at the end, y'all. We're at the end.
Just end it. Just hit end. Just hit end. This is it. Because I'm going to be laughing. I can't pull it together.
Nekisha already did the social.
She did the social. Okay, we did, y'all. We did.
We need to do the Gmail and the.
Oh,
and the
do we have a
and the
Gmail?
teaser. Yes.
Okay, hold on, y'all. Let me find the paperwork. Let me find the paperwork. Okay. It's okay. You can also send us your thoughts about the show, and if you know any black yogis doing 30-day yoga practice,
And birthday gifts for me.
show us some love and ask us some questions, y'all. And if you still think we the right people to answer these questions after this episode, then you go on and send your question in, and we gonna do our best at dimblackmamas@gmail.com.
Yes, write to us.
Jesus.
Thea's advice will get you right. Tip will get you
Probably not. I'm probably not gonna do it, y'all.
And look, go to Teespring, Black Woman
Get your merch.
and buy some merch and
Get
look
your
out
merch,
for
get
our
your onesies,
postings.
and send us pictures.
And that's all we got.
We ain't got no more.
Namaste.
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 Namaste. Namaste. Send us some black yogis, y'all. All right.